Welcome to the Math Record. Today I'll be covering the ICTM State 2015 Division A Algebra 2. I'll be going through every single question from 1 to 20 chronologically, and as usual, I'll be time-stamping it in the descriptions. Okay, number 1. Determine the value of the determinant 2, 4, 11, 1, 0, 7, and 4, 5, 8. So you usually use the 3 by 3 method, or you could just use 2 by 2, which I like to use. So 2, 4, and 11. And then the middle term you multiply by -1. Okay, so whatever is touching, you don't use. So it says so the two is touching these. So you have a 0 minus 35, which is minus 35. And then 4, 8 minus 28, which is negative 20. And then 11, 5 minus 0, which is 5. Multiply them together, so negative 70, 80, and 55. Add them together, that is 65. And that is your answer for number 1. Basically just that simple. Number 2. Determine the median of the zeros of f of x is equal to x cubed minus 10x squared plus 29x minus 20. So we're looking for the median of the solutions. So we're looking for the middle zero. So basically, since this is a cubic, which is the first thing I look at, that tells us that we have 3 zeros. So the next term I look at is this. So this is even. Okay, so that's good to know. So if that's even and this is also even, then that basically tells me that's either even at times since this has to be even, it's to be even times whatever these numbers are. So since this is also even, then that tells me that it's going to be either a even, even, even for all three roots, or a even, odd, odd. So let's factor out 20. So that's 2 to 2 times 5. So it's definitely not going to be even, even, even because there's only two of them. That's the highest amount it could go. So that means since there's only one even, that means it has to be this entire thing. So it's 4. So that means the odd has to be the 5 and a 1 because that's all that's left. So the middle term is going to be your 4. So your answer is 4. So basically just logic your way to do it. So you don't really have to uh, do it the entire thing. Or if you have your calculator, you could factor out that way. Number 3, determine the solutions for the inequality 5x plus 2 is greater than 7x minus 4, expressed in internal notation. So I like to keep x positive, so it's going to be 2x minus 5x from both sides and add 4 to both sides, so that's 6. So that's 3 is less, so x is less than 3. So interval rotation is negative infinity to 3. So both with curved brackets. Okay, number 4. Determine the order pair xy for the solutions 2x, 8y, 64, and 81x, 1 over 27y, 243. Express your answer as ordered pair xy. Okay, so these are all base 2, so you could just write that as 2 to the power of x times 2 to the power of 3y, 64, which is just 2 to the power of 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, so that's 6. And this one's the same thing, so 3, 4x, and that's negative 3, so then negative 3y, and this one is to the 5. So x plus 3y equals 6, and 4x minus 3y equals 5. Add them together, so that's 5x equals 11. So x equals 11 over 5. Plug this back into this one, so we get 6 minus 11 over 5, which is just 30 minus 11 over 5. So that is 19 over 5 divided by the 3, which is y is equal to 19 over 15. So that gives us that our ordered pair for xy, just put them in order pair. Sorry, my tablet's not working. Okay. 11 over 5 and 19 over 15. Okay, that is your answer. Number 5. When simplified, x equals the infinite radical of 3 plus infinite radical of 3 plus infinite radical, etc. reduces to this. And then add the coefficients, basically. So this is a really usual question they like to ask. So 3 plus square root 3 plus square root 3 plus etc. Right? There you just repeat infinitely. So what you have to do is that you need to recognize this inside as x. And because it's infinite, so it's basically the same. So you have x is equal to square root 3 plus x, square both sides, so that's 3 plus x. And you can rewrite it and say it is x squared minus x minus 3 equals 0. Using your quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus is usually just going to be a plus, it's not going to be a minus, plus b squared, which is 1, minus 4ac, so minus 4 times negative 3 times 1 over 2a times 1. So that is 1 plus negative 12 plus 1, which is 13 over 2. So your coefficients is 1, 1, 13, and 2. So add them all up together. That's 2, 4, 17. So that is your answer for number 5. Okay, number 6. The second term of an infinite geometric, for a geometric series, not infinite, just a regular, is 0.5, so it's 1 half. And the 13th term is 1024. The last term of this finite series is 8192. Okay, determine the sum of the terms of the sequence. So first we need to find the ratio. So from the 12 to the 13th, that's 11 term difference. So our ratio times the power of 11th times our initial term, which is 1 half, is equal to 1024. That's basically how it is, because the ratio multiplied by itself 11 times from the second to the 11th, we get from here to here. Okay, so that means the ratio to power 11th equals 2048. 2048 is just 2 to the power 11. So r equals 2. So ratio equals 2. So that basically, so now we have to get our first term. So since we're multiplied by 2, if we're going backwards, we need to divide by 2. So this is going to be 1/4. And we need to find the term for this. So think about from 10 to 81. What do we need to multiply? 8. 8 is just 2 to the power 3. So just add 3 more terms to the 13th, so that's your 16th. Okay. Usually, the reason I kind of think about this really easily is that I know that since they're using a bunch of base 2s, I see a bunch of 2s everywhere. This is a base 2. What I know is that since I don't really have to think about this has to be 2 to the power 11, you probably know it's going to be 2. And this has to be probably a 2, so you just have to think about these numbers. So it's a really quick way to do math instead of wasting all your time. Or you could just use your calculator. So the general formula is going to be the first term, 1/4, times 1 minus the ratio, which is 2, and then 2 to the power of how many terms there are? There's 16, divided by 1 minus the ratio. So you could use your calculator for this. So that is 2 to the power 16, 1 minus that, divided by -1, and then divided by 4. And we write it as a decimal, so we have a 16,383.75. 16,383.75. Okay, number 7. I equals square root -1, so 3i plus 8 over 7i minus 5. And it simplifies to k plus wi over p, and then sum up those coefficients. So all you have to do is just multiply by its complex conjugate. So multiply by 7i plus 5. So on the bottom, that'll be 7i times 7i, which is 49, which is -49 because there's an I there, I squared, I mean. And then these two multiply together, right? Those pairs cancel each other out. That's why it's complex conjugates. And then minus a 25. Okay, on the top we have 21, -21, and then plus a 40. And then this is a 15, and that is a 15, and that is a 56, 14, 20, 56. Yeah, 56. So that is a 71i. So that will get us to a 19 plus 71i over negative 60, 74. Okay, so they say p is greater than 0, so that means this has to be positive 74. So this one's negative 19 and this one's negative 71i. So adding them all together, that is negative 90 plus 74, which is negative 16, which is your answer for number 7. Okay. Number 8. The Octave family of 8 people walk in a parade with 30 other walkers. Before the parade, all the walkers shook hands with each other exactly once. The percentage of handshakes among just the Octave family out of the total is K%. Round to 4 digits, basically. Do not use percentage. Do not write the percentage. Okay, in your answer. So basically, since it takes 2 people to shake hands, then you're gonna have to use combinations, right? Because it doesn't matter if person A shakes person B versus person B shakes person A. They only have one handshake. So basically, we have 8 people plus the other 30, which is 38. So we have 38 choose 2. So that's 38 factorial over 36 factorial, 2 factorial. So that's 38 times 37 over 2. So that's 19 times 37. Okay, so that's the total amount of people that shook hands. So now for just among the octave family, we have 8 factorial. We have 8 choose 2 now. So 8 factorial over 6 factorial, 2 factorial. 8 times 7 divided by 2, that's 4 times 7. So the percentage is 4 times 7 over 19 times 37, which is using your calculator. 4 times 7 divided by 19 times 37. And we have a percentage of about 3.983. 3.983%. Okay, it's basically just that simple. Number 9. Determine all solutions for the equation x to the power 4 minus x squared equals 12. So I just got right, minus 12 is equal to 0. Okay, so with the complex numbers. So basically, you would just have x squared, x squared. Okay, so to get this coefficient of -1 and it's a 12, that means it's a 4 and a 3. So since the negative is bigger, that means the -4 and then plus 3. Okay, so from this one, we get its x equals plus or minus I square root 3, so positive or negative. And from this one, you have plus or minus 2. So those are your answers, plus or minus 2 and plus or minus I square root 3. Okay, so there are 4, positive 2, negative 2, positive I squared 3, and negative I squared 3. Or you could just write it like this. Okay, and now we're at number 10. A 10-gallon container is filled with a solution that's 20% alcohol and 80% water. So we have 10 gallons in the beginning. So if it's 20% alcohol, that means there's 2 um, gallons of alcohol. Um, Determine the number of gallons that must be drained from the container. So let's say we drain X. That means we drain 1/5 of the alcohol, right? Because 20% of the container is um, alcohol. So if we drain like X amount, then 20%, which is 1/5 of it, is drained. And then you replace it with pure alcohol. So replace the X with X, right? Because that's pure alcohol and the amount of alcohol is X. So we get 1/2. So that is 2 plus 4 or 5x over 10 is equal to 1 over 2. So cross multiply, so that's 4 plus 8 over 5x equals 10. So 8 over 5x equals 6. So 6 times 5 over 8 is equal to your x. Simplify, so that's 3. This is 4, so that is 15 over 4. And that is your answer for number 10. All this question is asking you is basically, can you manipulate your variables around? Number 11. Determine the possible values of k such that when x squared plus 5x plus 7 is divided by x plus k, okay, the remainder is 3. So remainder is 3. So use something called the remainder theorem. If we have f of x divided by something like x minus a, then the remainder is always going to be f of a. Okay, so you notice that this is plus k instead of like minus, right? So that means we have a negative k as our a. Okay, so we plug that in here. So negative k squared plus 5 times negative k plus 7 is equal to 3. So we have k squared minus 5k. 7 minus 3 is plus 4 equals 0. So that factors out as k minus 1 and k minus 4. So we have k equals 1 or k equals 4. So those are both our solutions. So our answer for number 11 is 1 and 4. Okay, number 12. During a school car wash, it was determined that Evie could wash a car in 8 minutes. So she washed one car in 8 minutes. So one car in 8 minutes. That's Evie's rate. And Un's rate is same car, so one car in 6 minutes. At this rate, determine the number of minutes it would take Evie and On working together to wash 7. Okay, so we have Evie's rate, which is 1 over 8, and On's rate, which is 1 over 6, multiplied by the time that it takes them is equal to how many cars, which is 7. So adding these together, that is 14 over 48 times t is equal to 7. So t equals 7 times 48 over 14. Cancel out the 7, so that becomes a 2. So t equals 48 divided by 2, which is 24. So it takes them 24 minutes. So 12 is 24. 13. I equals square root negative 1. A, B, C, D are real value coefficients. 2 plus I and negative 2 plus I are two roots for this quadratic formula. Determine the value of D. So we need to find the constant term. So basically, since they say it was real value coefficients, that means they had to have complex conjugates as its roots. So we already know these exist, negative 2 plus I, right? So we know those two exist. So we need two more. So since the conjugate exists, that means the complex of this one is 2 minus I, right? So positive to negative. And this one is going to be negative 2. Make this positive to negative, so that's negative I now. Okay, so let's just multiply these two by themselves, and then we multiply those together to get our quadric. Quadric. So that's x squared minus 2 minus 2, so that's minus 4x. And then positive positive, so that's a 4. Minus I squared is plus 1. So 4 plus 1 is plus 5. Okay, now for this one, that's x squared. Positive 2, so that's positive 4x. And this is going to be positive, and then 4, and then minus I squared, so that's also a plus 5. So if you don't know how I just did that, you'll get used to it once you do a bunch of these factoring with polynomials. I just did really fast because I know what to do. So then, since they're looking for D, we don't really have to multiply these out. D is the constant term. The only constant terms are these two. So when we're multiplying these, that means we just need to multiply these two. So that's 25. So our D is 25, and that's it. So our answer for 13 is 25. Okay, number 14. F of x equals x squared minus 8, and g of x equals 2x minus 5. Determine the value of inverse of g of f of g of 4. So just plug in 4 into this one, so that's 8, 3. Okay, so we now find f of 3 now. So f of 3, put in 3, that's 9, minus 8 is 1. So we need to find the inverse g of 1. So that means is 1 equals 2x minus 5. So that means x, that's 6, divided by 2 is 3. So our answer for number 14 is just 3. Okay, number 15. Let 4 times the matrix negative 2, negative 8, 5, 0, plus negative 3, 8, 6, negative 5 equals A. And then find the second row first column, right? That's A, 2, 1. So basically that's negative 8, negative. So since we need to look for the second row to column, that basically means we only have to look for these basically. So that is 20, and then 20 plus, right? This is a plus, the 6 is 26. So that's all we had to look for. So that is our answer for number 15. Okay, number 16. I equals square root negative 1, and then f of x equals x cubed plus kx squared plus wx plus p. So they're all real numbers. One of the zeros is negative 2 plus I. So we could just write that, negative 2 plus I. So that's one of our roots. Okay, so that means since they said it was real numbers, as usual, we use our complex conjugates, so minus I. And we have one more, so let's just call that like A, so x minus A. So multiplying these two, we get x squared plus 4x Positive 4 minus I squared, so that's plus 5. Okay, and then we have to multiply that with x plus a. So 4x plus 5 multiplied by x minus a. So that will get out as x cubed minus ax squared plus 4 minus ax squared. And this would be minus 4a. So then this is plus 5 minus 4ax and then minus 5a. And they gave us that k plus w is 39, so this plus this, so that is 4 plus 5, which is 9. Negative a plus negative 4a is negative 5a equals 39. So that means negative 5a equals 30, so a equals negative 6. So determine the real zero. So the real zero is going to be our a. So our a is negative 6, which is what we already calculated. So that is our answer for number 16. Number 17. On our 9-player softball team, the pitcher must bat first. So there's 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the pitcher must bat first. So this is the pitcher. And the shortstop must bat 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is your shortstop. Determine the number of possible 9-bat ordering for the team. Since these two are already taken, that means the other 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 could be ordered around whatever they choose. So all we have to do is just how many people can you choose for the first one? Well, there's 7 of them. How many people can you choose for the second one? Well, since one is already chosen, then we have 6. How many can you choose for the third one? Well, 2 people are chosen, so now we have 5. So now you just put the rest of them, and it's 7 times 6 times 5 times 4, etc. So that's just 7 factorial. So using your calculator, 7 factorial, that is equal to 5040. That's your answer. Okay. Number 18. Determine the sum of all possible integer solutions where 2 is less than the absolute value of 4x plus 16 is less than or equal to 12. Okay, so integer solutions, and we have to find the sum of it. So we could either have 2 is less than 4x plus 16 is less than or equal to 12, or we have 2 is less than negative 4x minus 16 less than or equal to 12, right? Absolute value means it's either positive or negative inside. So you just need to keep it the same, or you can multiply by negative. So now we could minus 16 from both sides. So this would become negative 14 is less than 4x is less than negative 4. Okay, so then we just divide by 4. So that's negative 7 over 2. So that's negative 3.5 is less than x is less than equal to negative 1. Okay. So now we have this number, which will give us from add 16 to both sides. So that will become 18 is less than negative 4x is less than or equal to a 28. Okay. And then we divide by negative 4 from both sides. So that's negative 9 over 2. So that's negative 4.5 is less than x less than or equal to our negative 7. Oh, sorry. This is, yeah. So basically, if we had to do our numbers, we have from negative 1 from negative 3.5 to negative 1, but it includes the negative 1. And we have from negative 7, sorry, I forgot to change the sign, it's greater than negative 7, and then, but it's less than negative 4.5. So we have negative 7, and then to negative 4.5. Well, we don't include this one. So basically, um, we have negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and this one we have a negative 7, negative 6, and negative 5. And we don't have a negative 4 because this is negative 4.5. So adding up together, that's 3, 5, and 6, 12, no, 13, and 18. Negative, negative, add them together is negative 24. So that is your answer for number 18. Number 19. The square root of x plus 6 minus, okay, so I'll write that out. X plus 6 minus 6 times the fourth root of x plus x is equal to negative 8. Determine the product of all possible solutions. So this one's square root, but it's just square root is just always with the 2. So basically what you could write is this is going to become your x value. So it's going to be the fourth root of x plus 6 and fourth root of x plus 6. So you could just move the negative 8 to the other side. So this one's just plus 8 is equal to 0. So since this is negative, it has to be minus in both sides, right? So 8 is negative 2 and negative 4. So negative 2 and negative 4 equals 0. So that means 4. The fourth root of x plus 6 is equal to 2. And the fourth root of x plus 6 is equal to 4. So this one is 2 to the power 4 is 16. So x equals 10 in here. 4 to the power 4, that's 16. 64, 256. 256 minus the 6 is x equals 250. So multiply these two, so that's 2500. And that is the product of all possible solutions. So that's your answer for 19. Number 20. Radar shows a thunderstorm at a distance of 15 miles. You see a bolt of thunder followed by a clap of bolt of lightning followed by a clap of thunder 30 seconds later. 15 minutes later, you again see a bolt of lightning followed by a clap of thunder, only this time 15 seconds apart. Assume your distance from your storm is directly proportional to the time gap between the lightning and thunder. Okay, so the distance is proportional, so there's some kind of constant, we'll call that k. Is directly proportional between to the time gap, so t. Okay, and the storm is moving on a straight line. Okay, determine the straight line basically just means that it's not like moving like in a curved way. So it follows this linear formula. Determine the rate at which the storm is approaching you in miles per hour. So we know that initially it was at a distance of 15 miles. So at 15 miles, k, which is our constant. So the time between the lightning and the thunder, which is the t, for that one was 30 seconds. That means our k is equal to 1/2. Okay, we know that now. So 15 minutes later, so in 15 minutes, right, um, you see a bolt of lightning followed by a clap of thunder, this time only 15 seconds apart, right? So now we have some kind of mystery distance, k, which is 1/2, and our time is 15. So that is our 7.5 as our distance, 7.5 miles, right? This one's 15 miles. So that means the storm traveled from 15 miles to 7.5 miles. So that's a distance of 7.5 miles. So how far? So it traveled 7.5 miles in 15 minutes. So determine the rate at which the storm is approaching you. So it traveled 7.5 miles in 15 minutes, which is 1/4 of an hour. So 7.5 times 4, that's 28 plus a 2, which is 30. So it's traveling towards you at 30 miles per hour. So that's your answer for 20. Overall, this year seems to be pretty simple. 20 might seem hard because there's a bunch of like words, but if you read carefully enough, it should be fine. 19 is a manipulation of variables. 18 is just with absolute values. There's a combination question here. More polynomials, matrices, right? Polynomials and more polynomials. Percentages, complex numbers, you should just learn them because they're not really hard, but you get free points from there. Geometric and arithmetic sequences, infinite infinite like radicals basically. And we have still with exponents, inequalities, and still matrices. Okay, so overall the questions weren't really that difficult this time. Just know your basic concepts of matrices and polynomials and um, complex conjugates, and basically that should be fine. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next math record.